We've been coming now almost 2 years with Twoobii, and it is time now for us to take the next step. Many people know Twoobii only for a VSAT access link, VSAT broadband internet connection, and Twoobii is actually quite a lot more already. So we decided it's time to actually share this kind of information with you. So the purpose of this afternoon session is to take us and give us a little bit of a broader view and overview of what we can all do with Twoobii. And I must admit, this is most probably only the start. So Twoobii is not going to be a stagnant product that will only be used for one specific purpose. It will always grow, and that's the nature of the game. So I would also like to introduce our QCon team. We've got our CEO, Dr. David de Wet, joining us this afternoon. And from Namibia, we've got Manfred Engel, we've got Cherise Bekers from South Africa, and Liesel Fourie also from South Africa. So to my QCon colleagues, I'm very happy that you're here to support us. And we will most probably also have a person from America this afternoon on the call that accepted. So we're very well represented in this global village. So without any further ado, let me start the process. I want to clear the screen quickly. The agenda for this afternoon, I've done the welcome and the introduction. Then I'm just going to cover the broadband services, give you all an overview. Then after that, I'll follow up with the private networks, which will most probably be a brand new service for most of the people. And then the data bundle networks, also a new service. Then our backup and standby network. And then we'll take some questions and answers and decide on the way forward. So for the people that joined just now, welcome, and I hope you're all going to enjoy this session. In terms of time management, I would like you to take your questions and keep it for the end of the session. You're also welcome to send some chat questions through. I may not be able to see all of them in time, but we'll try. I've got some colleagues that will also assist with the chat questions. Is this agenda okay with everybody? You can just send me a...
Thank you.
Yeah, it's fine.
Thank you.
Right.
Thanks.
Right. Twoobii is an off-grid business broadband service. That's how we started. We're not competing with fiber. We're not competing with LTE. We provide a service that's there when there's nothing else that can provide a service. It's also a high reliability service. Sometimes you get all these other fancy new technologies and services, but they're not reliable for whatever reason. Then satellite comes to the party, and satellite is reliable. We can provide on-demand access, and typical applications is places like off-grid lodges, where especially in the rural areas, we've got many of these off-grid lodges that is so rural that they hardly got power, and definitely not any reliable communications. Then we can provide them with reliable communications. Retail stores that need price updates, point of sale services that are off-grid, we can provide a proper service, especially the farming community as well. Business backup, many times people sit with fancy fiber services, but they're not available, and then satellite can provide a backup service. And then also interim services. While you're waiting for the fiber to roll out, satellite can come to the rescue. We've done many outdoor events, and the service can be set up in a couple of hours and provide a proper service also at the outdoor events, especially for retailers and banking community, people would want to sell something that they need point of sale services for. Just a little overview of the Twoobii environment. It's a fixed fee, uncapped service. You cannot top it up. It's a managed service. You pay for what you use. So sometimes people buy a service and they're not using what they're paying for. Sometimes people need a lot more and they want the cheaper service. But with Twoobii, we assist people and we encourage them to prepare and size their business for what they really need. And for that, then they can choose the correct package. The profiles, we'll cover them later on as well. They range from 2 megabits per second download, 1 megabits per second upload with a 15 gigabyte data allowance, all the way up to a 3 up and 20 megabits per second down with 500 gigabytes for the month. I would just like to stress as well, we apply a fair use policy to protect the network from abuse. And that's a daily managed service versus some of the other services that are out there in the market. It's a monthly service that allow you to run free and use up all your data within the first 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And in the last week, there's no data available. We manage it rather on a daily basis. And this is a standard internet layer 3 type service. I would like this last point, I would also like to just stress, we've got a special point of sale services profile available that is measured totally different. Then just to give you an overview, many people are asking where does Twoobii come from. The name is something that's not associated with satellite. Twoobii comes from the Old English environment. Shakespeare wrote in one of his novels, to be or not to be, that is the question. We're also asking the same question, to be or not to be connected. You can answer that for yourself, or your customer can answer that for themselves. So we decided we'll provide a service that can allow them to be connected. We've built the service on a global Intelsat Flex high throughput satellite platform. So it's not a flash in the pan. It's not a little bit of a service that's just created from nothing. It's a proper engineered service on a proper platform that's globally implemented. We use the new Direct Velocity platform and on the Intelsat 33E satellite. And QCon put that all together, and we've built the services on top of that platform to bring a market-related and focused type service for the Southern African market. Apologies. Just to give you a short overview quickly of where the service is available from a satellite and a flex platform perspective. It's basically a global service. So through the Intelsat constellation of satellites, it can be everywhere and anywhere on the globe. The portion that we're interested in is Southern Africa. Is where QCon is playing a role, and where we've contracted to provide services on this platform and our own specific creation of the services. So although this picture shows you where it can be available for everybody else, we're concentrating on the Southern African market and subcontinent. If I can just give you a little bit of a picture overview. We start there from the satellite on top. It's a high throughput Ku band satellite. And you most probably hear a lot about Ka band satellites in the market. A little bit less about C-band satellites. C-band is where it all started many years ago. Very reliable, big antennas and high capacity satellites. Nowadays, things are getting smaller and people are all competing for bandwidth and frequencies in the sky. So we're using the Ku band satellites, which is high available, provide high available services, little interruption, and high data rates on the satellite. The teleport that we specifically using is built in South Africa in Gauteng, and it is also connected to Terraco, where the NAP Africa internet access point is. The slide is a bit old. You'll see there on the right-hand side, in the middle of the picture, we say the maximum data rate is 16 megabits down and 3 megabits per second up. At the moment, it's increased to 20 megabits per second down, and hopefully soon we'll also introduce a 5 megabits per second uplink. The beauty of all this is we're all using the same small, low-cost 1.2 meter terminal with 3 watt buck, and they provide services for everything. Guys, may I ask you to just mute your microphones, please? Great. Thank you very much. This is just a short overview. All of these documents are available with detail that we can make available to you as well, should you want to see that. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Just coming back on the left-hand bottom of your screen, you'll see we've got there one slide, one graphic that says seamless integration with user MPLS networks. At Terraco, we've got our own point of presence, and we either then break out traffic into the global internet through NAP Africa and the rest of the internet world, or we can do handovers into customer-specific networks, customer-owned private networks, or our partner networks for specific customers. So you'll see it will become a little bit clearer when we continue with the presentation. Just to have a summary of the profiles available. Top, we've got a point of sale specific profile that caters for unlimited point of sale traffic. We're not allowing voice on there, and we're not allowing general internet traffic on there, but any point of sale transactions will not be limited on this network. Maximum download speeds 4 megabits per second, maximum upload 1 megabits per second. And then we get into the general internet type profiles. Let's start with the business 215. You'll also notice that our profile names are all named business. The service is not targeted at the general consumer market. It is profiled for business, SMME, up to enterprise level business users. That is why we mentioned business on this network. We go up all the way to the 20 megabits per second download with a 500 gigabyte monthly allowance. And then we've also included a column here that says gigabyte per day. This is the recommended usage per day. Some customers say we want a 10 gigabyte for the month, but then when you start speaking to them, they actually come down to say, but guys, we actually want more or less 1 gigabyte per day, or even 2 gigabyte per day. Then it's easier to direct them to the correct profile so that they can see what they're going to get per day. I would like to just mention quickly that our traffic gets measured from 6 o'clock in the morning until midnight. And between midnight and then a minute before 6 in the morning, we have a free zone where we encourage customers to do their Windows updates and large file transfers during that period. But the rest of the day, then from 6 o'clock onwards, we measure traffic again. So this, if we take, for instance, this business 215, it gives you 15 gigabytes for the month. Or let's take the next one. It's an easy one. The business 430, which gives you 30 gigabytes for the month divided by 30 days for the month, gives you roughly 1 gigabyte per day for them to use between 6 o'clock in the morning and midnight before the fair use policy kicks in and starts then throttling the download speeds.
Sorry, Hendrik, can you turn up your volume a little bit?
Okay. Let me just see if is this a bit better?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, excellent, great. Thank you for telling me that. Great. Then our next solution that I would like to touch on is the private network services. This service basically gives you a service for customers that want their own exclusive bandwidth. So if you get, for instance, a large company or a company that doesn't want to share data, but they also don't want to be limited to a specific number of gigabytes per day or gigabytes for the month, they can then get a service where they get a private network and all their users are put into that same, let's call it a pool of bandwidth that's exclusively allocated for them. So this type of service, for instance, if they take a 2 meg transmit with a 10 meg receive, then all of the users will have access to that bandwidth, and the more concurrent users they've got, the bandwidth then gets equally divided between those users. But we're not measuring data on there, so they get committed information rate bandwidth, and they can use it as they require. Typical profiles start with a 1 meg transmit, 1 meg receive, up to a 10 meg receive, 3 meg transmit. I would also like to then introduce a next concept here. Typically, all the satellite services were running on layer 3 on the TCP/IP network stack. We're also introducing now a layer 2 service, especially for customers with their own private networks, where we can then hand over a Terraco into their own network, and they then have a layer 2 service which is equivalent to a point-to-point type service over satellite. So we also call it layer 2 over satellite, and there are certain advantages associated with that service that we can discuss. If you need more information, you're welcome to contact me or any one of our QCon team, and we will be happy to give you more information on that. This is a new service, guys, and I encourage you to look out for applications where customers want unmeasured, if we can call it that way, unmeasured data service, where they can send as much data as they want to, but obviously not for the single user here and there that wants a cheap service. This is a properly managed, committed information rate service where we provide them exclusive bandwidth for their use. Then we've got our data bundle service. This is a service where it's equivalent to the IPN service that you get on the cellular networks. The client contracts for a specific data bundle size, let's say for instance a 250 gigabyte, and they've got a number of sites, and some sites use a little bit of data, some sites use more data. They're not always sure what type of time of the month the sites will use specific number of data, but they know overall they need about 250 gigabyte or 1 terabyte or 1.5 or 2 terabytes of data, and they contract for that number of terabytes, and we provide them with so many terabytes which they can then use for all the sites of their own network. Bless you. This service is also, let's call it a measured service. So once the customer exceed the number of terabytes or gigabytes that they purchased or contracted for, then out of bundle rates apply. So this is not a service that carries on indefinitely at the same price. There's a definite cutoff point. We don't apply any fair use policies on this network, but we measure it up to the end of what they've contracted for, and thereafter we either stop the service or they continue with the out of bundle rate for the service. You can also get it in a layer 3 or a layer 2 service. So it could just provide a number of sites with access into the internet or going directly into a customer's private WAN internet or a private WAN service that we do the handover from our POP in Terraco. This service also provides for a per site management fee that we apply. So every site that gets connected to the network, there's a specific management fee that we invoice on a monthly basis. This works quite nice for a company with many sites and small offices or a number of retail sites that just need access to the corporate network, but not necessarily having their own dedicated requirements. Then we've also got our standby services. This service is designed to provide high availability service for terrestrial type networks, whether it is fiber or copper or LTE or whatever wireless networks that I've got. If a customer needs high availability, then we can provide them with a high availability solution that will fill in the event of a terrestrial link that failed. So I would just like to highlight a couple of things on this service. You get profiles that start with 10 megabits per second down, 2 megabits per second up, available for 20 hours, for instance. And each site in the network contracts for a specific backup requirement, because you'll find that some sites hardly ever go down. So the customer just buys a little bit of insurance for that site. But other sites go down a lot more often. So the customer buys then more insurance, if I can call it that way, for the high availability service. And once that time is available, if we take the first option here, where we've got the 10 meg, 2 meg for 20 hours. Once that 20 hours of usage is done, then we'll take the capacity down to just to keep alive traffic, and the customer then cannot use that specific link again during that period for backup services. So this is a service that we can also help you to design a specific solution for customers. You're welcome, if you get these kind of requirements, to contact us. And it is not a service that customers can use as a top-up type service. You'll find that some customers see this opportunity because it's quite attractively priced. They see the service, okay, we've got a 20 meg, 3 megabits per second service for 55 hours, but let's just top up our own existing service, and at a very good price. This service is not designed for that. So let's help you design a proper solution for your customers and keep them all happy. Just to give you some unique selling points for our network, for the Twoobii service, it's a fixed fee satellite broadband service. The only service here that is not fixed fee is the APN, the data bundle service, which can go out of bundle rates, but then it's the known environment and the customer know upfront. They either need to plan for that, or they can decide to have it as a fixed fee and cut it off at the end of this contracted data usage. So in many cases, customers buy a service and then they find out that in the middle of the month they need to top up and the costs run out of hand and it costs them a lot of money. So we provide a fixed fee service. We manage it properly to prevent the service from being misused, but we always make sure that the customer can still do their critical services on this network. The network hub is in South Africa. For the Southern African customers, this is quite important. It is connected, like I mentioned, at Terraco to NAP Africa, where all the major networks connect, and therefore we provide quite high available and resilient type infrastructure into the rest of the world at Terraco. The beauty of this whole environment is it's local engineered and you've got local product support. Same time zone, pick up the phone, pick up the email, and you know that you'll get somebody on the site that can support you and help you to sort out problems. And I think if you ever get to the situation where you don't get an ear that will at least listen to your problem, give me a shout, give Davy a shout, and we'll make sure that somebody will listen to you. We may not always have the answer directly, but we'll at least listen to you. So this is the beauty about local engineering that's available in South Africa. And we also understand somewhat the South African environment. And we understand that people try to install a satellite solution where there's no cell phone coverage. So we provide for that as well. And we listen to our customers and we design solutions for that. So guys, I think this is a point that's very important, is you've got local people in South Africa and Southern Africa that can listen to you and support you. We provide a 99.5% service guarantee anywhere from the tip of South Africa down in Cape Town to the most northern parts of Mozambique or Zambia, wherever our satellite footprint covers. We provide the same quality of service with the same equipment without needing a bigger antenna or a different bug. You can get the same throughput anywhere in this footprint on this network. I'm happy to say that we're actually maintaining a much higher availability the past 2 years. But in terms of paperwork, let's just keep it to 99.5% service guarantee, but we're maintaining a lot higher throughput on this network. Just to then get closer to the end, we can also design customer-specific solutions. We do end-to-end delivery. This is one of the key selling points as well, where you've got a partner that's been in the business for more than 30 years that knows what's happening in Africa, and we work with our local partners in every country to design proper, solid solutions that you can then take with peace of mind to your customers. We've got a good engineering capability and support system in South Africa and also with our partners in the different countries. So I'm happy to put my name behind and in front of the service. I've gone through quite quickly because I'm also, I know that people's time is quite important and I don't want to waste your time. And this is also a first for me. I need to judge to see how much information people would like to have in these sessions. So I've got a couple of questions. Was the session worth your while? You're welcome to send us a chat message. And also, like I mentioned in the beginning, does this time suit you? We're planning to repeat it every second week. So not to make it too often, but also we've got quite some ground to cover with detail on each of these products. The timing of the product is, or the presentation, is that also good? I'm trying to keep it not too long. We're planning to keep it within about 30 minutes, maybe going to 45 minutes, not to take up too much of people's time. Then the plan is with the next session to take one of the topics and present it in more detail and work through it with questions and answers. Then I would like to invite you to send us feedback and suggestions on email and engage with us, guys. We're sending out every week on Thursdays, we're sending out a newsletter with some interesting information. Use that channel, use our emails, use the telephone, send us messages, let's engage. If you've got a specific requirement for a customer as well, I would like to encourage you to contact us. Let's see if we can find out a solution, engineer a solution. If it's at all possible, then we'll listen and we'll design whatever is possible. And I must admit, I shouldn't say it on such a public forum, but sometimes we also design and provide the impossible services. That's all from my side at the moment. I would like to thank you for your participation and then hand over to Darby for Darby.
Yes, thanks. Thank you, everybody. Just some thoughts. Some of the topics that are coming in the pipeline, we're thinking of maybe do a comparative or competitive analysis. Just talk a little bit about Twoobii's positioning in the market so we can address possible customer queries, or when you talk to a customer, there's quite a bit of a hype in the South African market about a product called MoreClick. So maybe we can just position Twoobii against MoreClick. There's some services in Namibia that's recently launched, so that's one topic. Let us know what you're thinking of. And then also I was thinking, if it's your interest, to share with you a little bit medium-term topics. There's that Project Kuiper that was launched recently by Amazon. They got FCC approval. So maybe on one slot, we can talk a little bit about the Leo and Mu constellations coming. So the whole idea is to build a community of informed satellite business colleagues, mostly around Twoobii and powering, but also maybe the wider audience about the satellite in general. So again, I think if you can send us invites and suggestions, of course, we'd like to pick the topics as applicable to everybody. We're also quite happy to go into specific applications in these sessions. So that's all from my side. Thank you, everybody, for your attendance. Do we have any questions, perhaps?
No, I just want to say thank you to you guys for all your help. You guys are doing giving us great service. Both my clients are very happy, and I'm also busy, you guys know, with Nedbank, also with you guys. So I just want to say thanks. You guys really pull out all the stops.
Thank you, we appreciate it. And then thanks for everybody's time. See you in the next slide.